In the center of the Mediterranean Sea sits an island that has rarely been just an island. Sicily is officially one of Italy's 20 regions, but its history, culture, and geography have always given it a distinct identity. It lies just south of the Italian peninsula, separated from Calabria by the narrow Strait of Messina, close enough to seem like an extension of mainland Italy, yet separate enough to develop its own rhythm. With more than 4.7 million inhabitants, Sicily is the largest and most populous island in the Mediterranean. Around Palermo, its capital and largest urban center, more than 1 million people live in a landscape layered with ancient ports, mountain towns, fertile plains, and coastlines that have attracted travelers, traders, armies, and settlers for thousands of years. Sicily's position explains much of its story. The island sits between Europe and North Africa, and between the western and eastern halves of the Mediterranean. In the ancient world, this made it a crossroads rather than a remote edge. Ships moving between Greece, Italy, Carthage, Iberia, and the Levant all passed through waters where Sicily mattered. Whoever controlled its harbors could influence trade routes, naval movements, and access to grain, metals, and luxury goods. This geography gave Sicily opportunity, but it also made the island a prize. Over centuries, different powers looked at Sicily and saw the same thing: a strategic base, a rich agricultural land, and a cultural meeting point in the middle of the sea. The island's name is linked to the Sicels, an ancient people who inhabited the eastern part of Sicily during the Iron Age. But human activity on the island reaches far deeper into the past. Archaeological evidence points to people living there as early as around 14,000 BC. Long before written records, communities were already adapting to Sicily's mountains, coasts, caves, and plains. These early inhabitants were not isolated from the wider Mediterranean forever. Over time, the island became part of expanding networks of exchange. By the first millennium BC, Sicily was home to native peoples as well as incoming settlers, creating a complex world where local traditions and foreign influences met long before the rise of Rome. Around 750 BC, Sicily entered one of the most important phases of its ancient history. Phoenicians established settlements on the island, especially in the west, while Greek colonists founded cities along the coasts. There were about 3 Phoenician colonies and around 12 Greek colonies, making Sicily one of the great centers of Magna Graecia, the Greek world of southern Italy and nearby islands. Greek cities brought temples, theaters, language, coinage, and political institutions, while Phoenician and later Carthaginian communities connected the island to North African and Western Mediterranean trade. Sicily was not simply colonized in one direction. It became a space where Greek, Phoenician, and indigenous cultures coexisted, competed, and influenced one another. Because Sicily was so valuable, conflict followed. From 580 to 265 BC, the Sicilian Wars were fought between Greek powers and the Carthaginians, who were heirs to Phoenician influence in the western Mediterranean. These wars were not just local struggles, they reflected a larger contest over control of trade, cities, and territory. Sicily's cities often had their own ambitions and rivalries, so the island was not a single unified battlefield but a complicated political landscape. Then came an even bigger struggle, the Punic Wars between Rome and Carthage from 264 to 146 BC. Sicily was central to the First Punic War, and Rome's victory transformed the island into one of its earliest overseas provinces. Under Roman rule, Sicily became the province of Sicilia and played an important role in feeding the expanding Roman world. Its fertile lands made it valuable as a grain-producing region, linking the island's agricultural wealth to the political and military needs of Rome. Roman administration brought roads, villas, taxation, and integration into a vast imperial economy. But becoming part of the Roman system also changed the balance of power on the island. Local autonomy was reduced, and Sicily's resources were directed toward imperial priorities. When the Western Roman Empire weakened and fell in the 5th century AD, Sicily did not disappear from history. Instead, it entered another long period of rule by outside powers. The early Middle Ages brought a succession of rulers to Sicily. The Vandals, the Ostrogoths, the Byzantine Empire, and later the Emirate of Sicily all controlled the island at different moments. Each left marks on administration, religion, language, settlement patterns, and architecture. Byzantine rule connected Sicily to the eastern Mediterranean and Constantinople. The Islamic period, beginning with Arab-Muslim expansion, reshaped agriculture, urban life, and culture, especially through irrigation techniques, new crops, and connections with North Africa and the wider Islamic world. Sicily's medieval identity developed from these overlapping layers. Rather than a simple story of replacement, the island's history became one of accumulation, where older traditions survived alongside new influences. One of the most distinctive chapters began with the Norman conquest of southern Italy. In 1071, the County of Sicily was created, and in 1130 it became the Kingdom of Sicily. The Normans were originally from northern Europe, but in Sicily they ruled over a society shaped by Greek, Latin, Arab, and Jewish communities. Their kingdom became famous for combining different cultural traditions in government, scholarship, and art. Palermo, in particular, became a remarkable capital where Latin Christian rule existed alongside Arabic-speaking administrators and Byzantine artistic influences. The result was not a perfectly peaceful multicultural paradise, but it was an unusually creative court culture. Norman Sicily showed how conquest could also produce fusion. Sicily's medieval kingdom did not remain politically stable forever. In 1282, the Sicilian Vespers, a major uprising against Angevin French rule, changed the island's direction. After this revolt, Sicily came under the crown of Aragon, linking it to the wider world of the western Mediterranean and, eventually, to Spanish power. For centuries, Sicily was ruled in connection with the monarchy of Spain either through personal union or branches of ruling dynasties. There were brief periods of Savoy and Habsburg rule between 1713 and 1735, but the larger pattern was clear. Sicily remained a strategic possession within broader European politics. Its identity was local, but its rulers often came from far beyond the island. In 1816, Sicily's political status changed again when the Kingdom of Sicily unified with the Kingdom of Naples to form the Kingdom of the Two Sicilies. This state covered much of southern Italy and became one of the major pre-unification Italian kingdoms. But the 19th century was an age of nationalism, revolutions, and movements for Italian unification. In 1860, Giuseppe Garibaldi led the Expedition of the Thousand, an invasion that helped bring down Bourbon rule in the south. After a plebiscite, Sicily became part of the newly unified Italy. For the island, unification connected it to a modern nation-state, but it also raised enduring questions about economic inequality, regional identity, and the relationship between Sicily and the mainland. Modern Sicily is part of Italy, but it is not an ordinary region. On May 15, 1946, just 18 days before Italy's institutional referendum, Sicily was granted special autonomous status. This made it one of Italy's 5 autonomous regions. Autonomy reflected the island's distinct history, geographic separation, and particular political and economic challenges. The region has its own institutions and a degree of self-government within the Italian Republic. This status does not make Sicily separate from Italy, but it recognizes that the island has always been more than a provincial extension of the mainland. Its culture includes Italian and Sicilian language traditions, local customs, regional cuisine, and a powerful sense of place. No image of Sicily is complete without Mount Etna. Rising to about 3,403 meters, Etna is the tallest active volcano in Europe and one of the most active volcanoes in the world. It dominates eastern Sicily not only physically, but culturally and economically. Its eruptions can be destructive, yet volcanic soils also help create fertile farmland, supporting vineyards, orchards, and distinctive local agriculture. Etna is a reminder that Sicily's story is shaped by forces deeper than politics, geology, climate, sea routes, and human movement. From prehistoric settlements to Greek colonies, Roman grain fields, Arab irrigation, Norman palaces, Spanish rule, Italian unification, and modern autonomy, Sicily remains a Mediterranean crossroads with an identity built from many worlds. If you found this helpful, please like this video and subscribe for more explainers.